the latest information at this hour and to go deep into the analysis of everything that is going on the Middle East at this hour, we invite to this special broadcast to Ivonne Tellez, an expert in these matters, a political analyst. Hi Yvonne, thank you very much for joining us at this hour.
Thank you very much for having me.
First of all, on your opinion, what would be the implication of this major escalation for the countries of the region?
Okay, what we're seeing is a very serious escalation indeed. I don't think, and I think what worries us the most is the fact that we are under the battlefield of countries with real military powers, but conducted and guided by not very, what will be the word, fit persons, and I'm talking about Mr. Donald Trump, Mr. Netanyahu in this case. The response that we saw Iran that gave just hours ago regarding the U.S. attacks under its right of legitimate defense will definitely call for a response from the United States. And what could be worrying is how the United States is going to respond, even if under international law, what we know is that states that are under the threat of attack or are under a direct attack um, can use their response in a proportionate way as a legitimate use of the right to defend themselves. However, we can see this from the standpoint of the U.S. not as a legitimate response, but as a threat or as a direct attack. And under this view, there could be an escalation because there could, a very strict and hard response from the U.S. Can come, and this means even more destabilization of the region, of the countries involved. And let's take into account that there's another state that is coming into the spotlight, and that will be Qatar, in the sense that Qatar is the country that has been attacked, not because Iran is attacking Qatar directly, but because the military base of the US was in Qatar. So that means that Qatar will probably have a response to this action. So that means that we have some other countries, some other states enter into this, and this definitely derives us for a very unstabilized situation in the Middle East region.
Why do you think that Donald Trump, US President Donald Trump, decided to prompt the US insertion, direct involvement in this conflict, even when he had this very erratic behavior where the people didn't know what was going to be next, its next step?
Uh, we know that, I take your words, his erratic behavior, that's what has characterized him since his first term. We've seen even more radical actions in this second term, in just this few months that he's in power. Um, that is that what we know is that the attacks that we saw yesterday from the US did not respond to a direct agreement within the Congress of the United States. What we know is that the Democrats were very hard on their opinions regarding the U.S. involvement in this conflict, first of all. And we also know that even Republicans within the Congress were very hard also on Donald Trump's actions. So uh, with that in mind, we don't know if the United States, I mean, Donald Trump will retaliate Iran's actions. And if he does so, we don't know if he's going to ask the Congress for their agreement or their consensus regarding these actions. What I can expect and what we can expect is that probably Donald Trump is going to move by himself. He's not going to ask for any kind of permission or agreement within the Congress. Because we have seen that he has a condition of bypassing even his own domestic law. So what I'm afraid is that the U.S. may retaliate this Iran's actions. That's what I think has everyone under very complete tension, and it's a worrying thing because that could mean even a more drastic escalation of the conflict regarding also the military force that these powers have. Um, so, and we know that the U.S. can definitely endure within military conflict. It has the means, and it has the knowledge, and it has, well, basically one of the most powerful military forces in the world. So I don't know if they're gonna back up. And just think, let's also consider that if Iran um, will accept in a hypothetical idea, will accept to go back to the table of negotiations, that could mean, under the situation that we're facing, a surrender of Iran. And Iran has been deeply affected by this Israel and US conduct. So I don't think Iran is going to take that path because it will not trust the actions of Israel or even the United States. So I don't think that this could we could follow, or at least envision a very close, or in a short term, a probable diplomatic reinstallation of the negotiations.
So, in your opinion, this is a conflict that has no end in sight for the moment, and I wanted to ask you, do you think that the world is on the verge of a conflict that could have global dimensions at this point in which we are at?
Yes, that's what I'm implying. I do not think that we can see yes, an oncoming solution in a short term. And why is that? Because we know, excuse me for that, we know that this Iran US tension and even Israel involvement uh, has been an ongoing conflict, and this goes back to the 20th century, and with what happened with the deployment of the Shah between before the 1979 Iranian Revolution. I mean, what we're seeing and where I'm implying is that there is a political uh, background for these tensions over here. And what we are seeing right now is the materialization of this political tension that goes far beyond at least for 50 or even more years. So when we see that there is a materialization of this tension in the field, it is very difficult to go back to the installation or reinstallation of dialogue if the conditions are not met. And I don't think that the US is willing to um, reinstall negotiations with the Ayatollah Khomeini. Probably they will be expecting a probable deployment of the regime, of the Iranian regime. That's one of the hypotheses. And on the other end, there will be an Iran that is not willing to trust uh, its partners, not partners, but at least that the US and the Israel, basically the US in the negotiation table because of what has happened. So that is a fact that will um, have a direct impact in how those states try to go back to the negotiation table if they are willing to do so, or if this military escalation doesn't end in something different. With that in mind, then what we can foresee is that the involvement of other potential actors in this scenario, the involvement of some other countries in this space would mean very, I mean, a probable not just regional, but international conflict if other powers get involved. And that's what we can foresee in a near future if the escalations continue. We can see that probably Iran or Russia will try to back up Iran, in this case, China or Russia, sorry, will try to back up Iran if the escalation continues. So I mean, one thing is completely tangled with the other. So if we don't see de-escalation over here, then what we can foresee is the involvement of some other new countries on this part, and that could lead to an even more conflicted, even more difficult, and an even more broader conflict.
And in your opinion, what's the role that are playing the great news media empowers of the West regarding the narrative that is being related to Iran at this moment?
Okay, mm, media has a central role always in the construction of narratives for the normal people because this is the way that we are informed, and that is the biggest and the big ethical responsibility that media holds. We know that the media in, I mean, the leading media comes from the West most of the time, or that the independent media or other lines of media is not as widespread as the traditional one. So what this could mean is that we are just building up and constructing and um, nurturing those narratives, those anti-Iranian narratives, and portraying Iran as a world enemy because of the how the construction of this idea of a country that means like a very great risk for the rest of the world. What Iran and I am not going to in this case to discuss what Iran has done or hasn't done regarding uh, their nuclear capacity. But what I'm going to focus is on the actions of Iran. And Iran has not been attacking any other country and has been not deploying a military forces or has been not displaying missiles around the world. It hasn't done so. So in this case, this idea of a risky state that poses a threat to the whole humanity just dissolves because those countries, and I'm talking about the U.S. mainly and Israel, of course, who has these double standards and are talking about the how they are trying to save the world from a terrible threat and uh, underscore their own actions, and this is backed by the traditional media. So with what this does is just build up and reinforce these narratives and these traditional narratives of trying to see Iran as the bad part, as the bad guy of the movie, and the Israelis trying to portray themselves as the victims. So I think the media has a very I mean, a direct role here, a central role. in deconstructing and just showing the facts as they are, and showing these actors, because none of them is free of probably some erroneous actions, but that doesn't mean that we can just condemn one action or the other. We have to understand the whole context, and I think what the media and the responsible media has to do is to allow spaces like this where we can be informed beyond what we personally think, but we can be technically and responsibly informed.
In the meantime, I mean, this war was started by Israel while it was carrying out a brutal genocide against the people of Palestine, and a genocide that hasn't stopped ever since this new conflict eroded. And I wanted to ask you, do you think that this was a strategy from Israel to invisibilize the ongoing extermination of the Gazan population?
Definitely, yes. I think that a highly questioned country like Israel, a highly questioned leader as Netanyahu, facing serious imputations and serious international law and international criminal law charges before the International Criminal Court, just to say some of what we are seeing. And a highly questioned state as Israel, that is facing not just an international condemnation for its actions within Palestine and with the Palestinian people. Um, and the fact also that Israel is even facing some backups from its own people regarding how the Israeli population, some of them, began to question and to start some protests around, I mean, in the Israeli territory, and also I mean, the international community and the international population that what we have seen around the world in probably these last 2 months regarding I mean, regarding the condemnation of Israel's actions. I think that supports the idea that what Israel decided to do was, in a way, to distract its own people and extract the international community from what's happening with this genocide, because that's what it is. It's a genocide with the Palestinian people. So definitely, yes, I think it's a factor that Israel used as a distractor for its own actions within the Palestinian territory.
One last question, Yvonne. I wanted to ask you, what are the main solidarity expressions that are coming from Latin America, from Africa, from other continents of the world towards Iran?
Well, yesterday in the Security Council urgent meeting that was called, we saw the condemnation of the U.S. attacks on Iran, because it's a grave breach of international law. Also, the fact that the U.S. attacked nuclear uranium facilities within the Iranian territory. That's also prohibited under international law. So we saw that there was an international condemnation, and what has been seen from the rest of the international community is, of course, a condemnation of the acts, because um, even though there can be some tensions and some actions that call for I mean, special measures regarding the conflicts that those countries are facing, that doesn't mean, and nothing justifies the use of force. So, what rests in the international community is a radical condemnation of those acts, because we are supposed to have evolved in the sense to understand that conflicts should be avoided, and I'm talking about military conflicts should be avoided, and instead opt for the peaceful settlement of disputes. And this is just goes far beyond from this obligation that the states have. So what we're seeing is, in general, not all countries, but in general, what we're seeing is this international condemnation, and I think that has to be, I mean, that has to um, persevere. I mean, the fact that those actions cannot be not understood, not justified under any condition.
Thank you very much, Yvonne, for your time here with us to help us go deep into this matter that is of great concern for the entire humanity at this moment.
It is, it is. Thank you very much for the invitation.
We were speaking to Ivonne Tellez, who is an international law expert in the context of the retaliatory actions performed earlier today by Iran following the launch of strikes against U.S. military base in Qatar. This was a response of the direct involvement of the U.S. in the conflict that has further escalated in historical dimensions of the tensions in the Middle East. Stay tuned with teleSUR English for all the latest information on this matter.